Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Had a family great here again, and it's been a while since we had our last video on Finsa. However, today we are going to come back together and continue from where we left off. So far so good, we've been able to build our backend. However, it's really nothing if we can interact with what we've built. So today we are going to start working on the front end, and I've mentioned before, we're going to be making use of AngularJS for this. So before we delve into the Angular part of this, let's quickly have a walkthrough of what we'll be building. So I know I've showed this before in the start of this. However, since we want to focus on the UI now, it makes sense to go back into it and have a vivid look of what we'll actually be building. So on my screen now, I have some views pulled up from Figma, and here is what the landing page is going to look like. So in total, we'll be building 8 pages. That's something to note. So yeah, we are going to kickstart things with the landing page, which kind of describe what the project is all about. Then we proceed to the create account page, the sign up page. Then we move to the sign in page. Then once they are signed in, we have this presented to us on our dashboard. So according to this, we are going to have 2 services we can set up. We have the card generation service and we have the payment integration service. Our focus for now is still going to be on the card generation service. However, the payment gateway integration is going to come in soon because obviously we need to have all this together to actually be able to complete our fintech simulation. Then we have where you actually register for the card service. So you provide your KYC information. Then you provide your API integration. So you register your API content such that Finsa is able to connect with your API service. And once you are done, you have this as your service list where you get to see all your services. And I believe that's all it is. So when you click on the Explore button, you can view the KYC once again and view your details where you can also edit if you need to. So that's all we want to build in regards to the Finsa UI. And that's all for now. Now to the framework we are going to use. We are going to be using AngularJS. And if you've been following all my tutorials, you'll notice that I tend to use React.js. So the question will be, why Angular? And the major reason why I want to try Angular is, I want to leave my comfort zone and explore something else. I'm used to React already. And since this whole channel is about learning together, why not just learn Angular together? By the way, I'm not entirely new to Angular. So when I kickstarted my software engineering career, I had an option of choosing either Angular or React. So then I started with Angular. And the major reason why I leaned towards React was the flexibility of doing things. So Angular then was quite rigid, and I don't like being restricted on how I can move. One of the reasons why I don't enjoy WordPress and other technologies that kinds of restrict your flow. So yeah, that's about that. So now that we are on Angular back again, this is the latest Angular, which tends to kind of give you some flexibility a little bit. And yeah, I've used it a couple of times. I think I enjoy it better. So we'll go to the docs. And from the docs, we want to venture into Angular CLI. And within the Angular CLI, we want to click on Get Started. So Get Started is what you want to click on to see the command that allows you to install Angular CLI and you can start creating Angular projects. So by the way, this is the latest Angular. As such, it requires the latest Node.js as well. So in case you don't have your Node.js updated, all you have to do is to come to Node, and you'll be presented with this. So here you want to proceed to the download page and click on the preview installer. So by default, what you are presented with is more like a source code, and yeah, we shouldn't delve into that unless you just want to explore some rabbit hole. The best thing would be to just download the previewed version, which you can click here and you can download the version you want. So I'll download the current, which is this. Then you select the operating system you are working with. Then you are good to go. So I have the latest version installed already, so I won't need to go through this route. Then after you've done that, you can now come back here and run your npm install. So let's do that together. So Windows PowerShell, that's what we use with Windows since they've discontinued CMD. So what you want to do is npm install -g at Angular/CLI. And this is going to install Angular globally on your npm repository. That way you can use it anywhere in your operating system. So this may take a while. Let's wait for it. And once it's done, we'll come back to continue with our flow. All right, guys. So the installation is complete. And now we can pull up the Finsa location on our desktop or wherever you've saved it. So far, so good. We have the API folder. So now we want to create the UI project in this directory as well. So we can close this for now. And within this directory, I want to open my PowerShell here. So open terminal here. Okay. So as you can see, now we are within Finsa. You can verify that we are within Finsa actually. So this is the API. So we can close the directory for now and we can scroll down. Now that you have the package installed, you can use this command to create a new project. So now we want to pull back the terminal and here we want to have engine name. And this time around is going to be the UI. So we can just click on the UI. So it's asking if we want to use CSS or less. And one thing I've noticed recently is that the terminal for my Windows seems to be behaving in this manner because technically this version should be under here. So I won't have known that it's asking anything. So let's just manage with what we have and work with it. So I'm going to be using SCSS, this particular option. I'll click yes. Do you want SSG pre-rendering? I don't know what that is, by the way, so I will click no. And with those questions answered, it started installing the necessary package and creating our projects. So let's wait for it as well. All right, installation completed. So as you can see, we have the notification that the package installed successfully. So now we can open this up within VS Code. So we have show more options and VS Code. All right, we've opened this up and here is our folder structure. So before we do any other things, let's start our server. And to do that, we can come to package.json and see how we can. So to start our server, we have npm start or yarn start if you are using yarn. So we can do this by having I'll say no. All right, so that same issue we had earlier with our terminal is still kind of persisted here. So that's why we can see all the information about our hosts and the ports. However, I've been working with Angular for a while, and as a result of that, I know that this is going to run on the port 42,000. So let's come back here and look at host 42,000. And voila, here is our home page. Looking cool, right? So the next thing we want to do is to set up Tailwind because that's what we're going to use to start this up. So even though we've selected to use SCSS, what that means is it's going to allow us to use SCSS in case we want to write our SCSS. But notwithstanding, we still want to use Tailwind to make things faster. Coming back to our code, can close this for now. And let's quickly have a quick look at the folder structure. So we've been doing React, and I think as a result of that, some of this folder structure should not be a big deal. So obviously, source folder is where all your codes would be, most, let me say. Because sometimes you can decide to create an external folder to handle stuff. So the public folder is where your static files will stay in. So if you want to have images, videos, you want to have it in your static file. I think Node modules is self-explanatory. VS Code is because we are using VS Code. And Angular is to have Angular stuff managed under it. So within this source folder, we have a default app. So this is the entry into our system. And just like React, if we open up the index.html, we have an entry tag, the app root. So this is where everything is pulled into, just like React. And here also we have main.ts, which kind of Angular way to put things where they should be. And finally, we can view the default app components. So naturally, the structure of an Angular component is going to be of this format. So we have the app component, let's pull this out. So we have the HTML, we have the CSS for styling, we have the spec for tests, and we have the component itself for your logics. And because it's the default app, we have two extra components, which is going to be the app.config and the app.routes. So because Angular is kind of, like I said, a rigid way of doing things, it has specified the way you should follow. So unlike React, where you tend to do things the way you want, you have to follow its pattern here. However, you can rename things if you so want to, but yeah, that's not really necessary. If you're prior to Angular, then you want to stick to the way things are done. If you don't like that, then obviously, I guess React is for you. So if you take a look at the routes, this is where you define your routes. We are going to be visiting this later on. And if you take a look at the config, here is where you specify packages that are going to be available throughout your projects. So yeah, you can have the global configurations here. So that's about that. Then the component itself, we have the HTML, and what you're currently seeing on the screen is rendered from here. Okay. Then we have the SCSS, nothing yet, but in case you want to have a customized SCSS for your app component, you have it here. Then the spec is for your tests, which we won't be venturing into in this tutorial. I think mostly tests usually have their own dedicated tutorials for that. So the focus here is to achieve what Finsa can do to us, or what we can use Finsa UI to achieve. Then finally, we have the component itself where you set up things. Now, this is a quick walkthrough of Angular. When we start developing, we would explore some of these things better. So now Angular have shifted to a component-based design, just like React. And I think this is particularly near to the latest from AngularJS. And now we have a component which can be standalone. So yeah, I'm not so good with Angular to want to use any other kind of components unless maybe it's service. And we're going to venture into that later on. And another thing to note is, because we are working with HTML directly, we need to be able to kind of find a way to use our component. And that way is using the selector. So the selector in this case is approot, which means once we specify approot, as we've done here, it means we are specifying these components. Okay, so that's the selector. It's like going to resolve to the tag name in HTML. And standalone means it's a component that can stand on its own. Then to use this kind of selector or any other related packages within your HTML, then you have to import the package. So for example, now we have the router outlet, and this allows you to use your route outlet such that everything you mount stays on that route. So if we take a look at the app.html, the HTML, you find out that there's a router outlet somewhere. Let's look for it. Yeah, as you can see, we have the router outlet. So this allows you to put in your route content. So in case you have other pages within your route, then they get slotted in here. Okay, so we could use this because we specified the package here. And finally, when defining a component, you have to either specify the template URL, more like a path to your HTML file, or you can just define your HTML directly here by changing it to templates. And now you can start defining your HTML tags and so on. So I'm going to leave it as template URL unless we need to. Then finally, we have your style URL, a path to your style. And that's all. So within your class component itself, so these two are attached together, so they go hand in hand, they cannot be detached. So within here, you can have your logics, you can have your parameters, you can have your attributes that app.html can then use. Okay, we're going to get into that later on. So for now, because we want to set up Tailwind for styling, we're going to clear things out here. And the only thing I want to have here is just the router.outlet. So yeah, we have self-closing here as well. And if we take a look at here, is seeing this as a Django template because obviously we are within a JavaScript environment and we are writing HTML directly. So it's wondering, okay, maybe that's more like a templating engine. However, this is not Django template. This is actually HTML. So we can change that to HTML. And yeah, that's much more better. Okay, so let's take a look at how we can set up Tailwind. And before we actually do that, now that we've changed this to just route outlet, what do we have on our screen? We have nothing, and that's not cool. So let's actually have something to work with. So here I'm just going to have H1, and I'll call this Finsa UI. Like that. And if we come back, now we have this, which looks good. It's always English. Does Finsa look Italian? Well, oh, really? So Finsa is an Italian word for pretend. I'm just hearing that. I guess I'll change it back to Italian and leave it there. Yeah, I guess we just learned something. So Finsa means pretend in Italian. Nice one. All right. So we want to set up Tailwind, and the UI schedule would be a pointer that Tailwind has been set up. So let's venture into that. So Tailwind installation. So let's look for the Tailwind CSS itself. Let's find get started. And let's find framework guide. So under framework guide, we are going to look for Angular, which is this. And here it's telling us how to create a project, which we've done already. And after we've created our project, the next thing we want to do is to install all this. So we'll copy all this. We'll come back to this. Then, yeah, this is reloaded. Let's close this for now. And now we can paste in what we've copied. So npm install all this. We don't need to know the names. We can just copy it anytime we want to. And let's wait for it to install. All right, so installation completed. And yeah, that's the first part. Let's jump back to the browser and look at what we are doing next. So after installing this, we want to also do nps tailwind css init. So we come back to our code. Let's do that. All right, and with that done, we have this new Tailwind config file. Yep. And according to the document, we have to specify this. And this is telling us that we want to make Tailwind available for all this file extension within our source folder. So we can just copy the whole content, come back to our code, and replace this. And with that, I believe we have Tailwind set up. It's actually quite straightforward. Actually, I think we are still missing one more thing. So, yeah, we need to place this within our CSS file. So let's copy all this. Let's come back to our code. And yeah, we are going to place this within the main CSS or SCSS in our case. So not the component-based SCSS. So we'll paste this here. Let's remove all this and paste this. And I think with that, now we are done with the setup for Tailwind. Let's solve. So npm start. So this time around, we didn't have the issue with our terminal. This opened well. And as you can see, this is the full path. So let's come back to the browser. Let's check the UI. And now we can see that the styling has changed a little bit. So that's the verification that we have Tailwind installed. However, let's kind of style it back to look like the H1 tag. So we can come back to our app.html. Let's come back here. So here we can have class, and here let's have tests-5sl, then front board. And the advantage of Tailwind here is that the integration with HTML is actually way more better than what we have with our GSS. Because obviously, from my experience, if I type it last name and if I don't have at least a class name initially, I won't get IntelliSense for the other classes from Tailwind. So yeah, I think this is a good one. It makes things way more easier and interesting. And with that, we get to have the UI back. So yeah, Tailwind has been installed. So guys, let's not bore each other with so much information at a go. And as a result of that, we are going to round up this episode here. So in the next one, we are going to kick things off by implementing the landing page. So if you're enjoying your process, kindly leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you've not. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.